Hi, my friend. I am very, very excited. Today is Happy Everything Day. It's the kickoff of our sew along. And this is a project and an idea that I have had for so many years, like years and years. I have written so many books. I think this is I think my holiday celebrations is like 38th book. And I have thought about doing this, taking pieces from the book and doing a sampler from it for forever, like forever. And so today is the day, and that is just like, ooh, so exciting. So our first block is going to be the heart. We're basically going to be working somewhat across like this. So that's the plan. And I've got the heart quilt up here that I had it up yesterday for the, I'm not sorry, for on Saturday for the video for a pink, lots of pink. So we have two styles of heart blocks, and what you'll see is that the heart in here, the very top of it, the top of this portion here and the very point will fill that space, will fill that space. So there will be no border around it in that unit. So sort of keep that in mind, because this, whatever you use here, will be touching your sashing. So that's kind of where we go. Now this particular one has the sort of V on the inside, and then the other one has the strips. So you can pick either one. They're the same size and finished. So you can decide which way your fabric works or which one you like better. So I am going to go with the strips because I get to use more fabric, but I'm going to talk about one with the V in it. So that means I had to get out fabric, and I have down on the floor here, I'm going to pop a picture up too, but down here is where I've pulled a bunch of bins out, and here is a picture of what's behind the scenes, so I have to be careful I don't stumble over the baskets down there. So I have pulled out several of the yellow fabrics. So let's just take a look at what's going on. What do we have? So to do the strip, that means I will have skinny units of everything. So I'm going to try during this whole thing, wherever I can, is to pull in some of my fun prints, which I call, and many people call, novelty prints. And novelty prints would be something like this that has images of cameras, mermaids and octopuses. Novelty print would be like the word text for coffee. Those would be novelty prints. Like the bees is not really a novelty print, nor the florals that are here. So I did a little scape, like like across there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is how many, 7 blocks. I mean 7 strips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they're all different, and I made them all different in my quilt in the book. Now, you can just play around, like maybe I want to have them a bit more light dark. So, and then in my eye, like on camera this doesn't look quite as bright as it does to me in person. In person, this one sort of sticks out a little bit more. So I thought, well, what other options do I have? There's a little 30s print with bunnies on it, because I was still looking for something a little bit lighter in there. Remember, these are a little bit wider strip too, so you're going to be able to see that image. Like here, if I'm doing this one, I'm going to take and get that flowers, like fussy cut it so that they are just so right down the middle of the strip. And I also have this really cute, I just love it, this Heather Ross fabric with the hats, paper hats. So that could be one that I put in here instead. Maybe I put that in there instead of the cameras. I also went and got out this whole pile of Heather Ross fabric that I used some of these in my mermaid quilt, but I still have a lot here, and I thought, well, there's a little piece that I could just use up. It might be the right width, I don't know. I could always sew two together, but that could be the end of, instead of one of these ends, because that's a smaller piece. So I got that out. So there is the yellows, getting them organized. At this point now, you need to find the little squares that'll go around it, and then the background. So let me talk about those two things for a second, because both of those are kind of key in my thinking for once you build your first block, they are little stepping stones towards what you're doing for the whole project. Not so much the darker surround on the heart, but definitely your background. You know, so first, let's talk about background first, because I want to use a lighter background, but I'm not going to use the same thing in all of the blocks. So on here, I just shaded these so that you would be able to see them a little bit better. That shading has nothing to do with anything. So all of those blocks have some sort of background. And I remembered I had used this fabric in a project, and I have about, it's an older fabric that I don't believe we bought it out for kits like a couple of years back, and so they don't don't have it anymore. But I think it's close to a yard, like just under a yard, maybe 35 inches or something. See, like there's a section out of it. And I have tried to use this in projects for background, and it's just never enough. It's just always a little bit short, like I needed 1.25 yards. So this is it. This is the project. It's got yellow speckles. Of course, yellow and gray. It will not probably, I'm sure it probably won't do the whole thing. So that means I will add in every so often some other fabrics. I will go through my bin, and I have a whole bin of these lights with prints on them, though a lot of them have way more print than I probably will want, although I think this one's pretty cute. These cats, like, they would be fun. They would be fun to have as a background on one of the blocks. So that's where I'm going with this thought, that I will use mostly this speckled yellow and then other things as they work out. Now the around on here will be gray for mine because of the yellow and gray theme. I'm not going to bring turquoise into this particular block. I will wait and do it for another block because that'll be my other color, my little bits of turquoise. I could do coral too, but I'm going to stay with turquoise. Okay. So many options. So let's look at the types of gray fabric. Oh, here was another yellow I had pulled that would be good too if I wanted less novelty print. But I'm going for all novelty prints. The one thing about this is that I need to use it up in this quilt because this is all I have. So it's going to go in somewhere where this block is kind of perfect for it to go into because I can use a piece up. But we'll see. So for gray, I pulled 3 different shades, so they're dark, medium, and then a medium light. I did not pull a really light. Let me just reach down here on the floor and get a really light. Okay, now for the surround, I can just lay these next to the fabric, and I'll do all 4 corners here, and then you can see how this looks. Okay, and then there would be this light. Let me see, there we go. Whoops. Let me put the light over here. There, we get to see it more. Okay, so there would be the light fabric next to it. I think the darks are really good. These are really good. I think this light, this is just too washed out. It doesn't do anything for the yellow at all. It's just, just not really great. Although, look at the dots in the middle. There's yellow, so got to think about that one. I actually kind of like this one. I really like the darks. It would make it pop, but I think I might go with this one. I don't know. Those are my options. So what I'm going to do is think about that a minute. Let me show you, because I have not made the block. When I'm filming this, I am showing you before I make the block. So this is real life, real time at the time of filming anyway. I don't know what I'm going to pick. I'm like, If you were doing a quilt like this with repeat, it would be so fun that they were all different. I could try all those different grays around the yellows. That would just be spectacular. I think it'd be so much fun. Let's take a look at an option where you do the heart and you do the V on the inside, which is very subtle on most of mine. They are not a high, like a high contrast V. There's the top 2, you can actually see it a little bit more. But what if I was going to take this really pretty floral that I got from the Gingham Foundry. Let me put this over here. Remember the Gingham Foundry fabric that has the Louis Armstrong words in it? This one? Well, I have that yellow, and I think that this yellow would be an absolutely spectacular block. And if I was going to do this yellow, I would definitely, if I'm going to pick gray, because this is sort of a gray blue, gray navy, but the darker, I think the better for this. That one's okay, but these would wash out. You wouldn't even, they wouldn't be dark enough. But this being the V down the middle, maybe you do the V down the middle with the medium, and the outside with the darker. This would make a spectacular heart. And that I could do that one and make it a pillow, but I don't think I want to at this point, because I think I want to save this fabric to use as I go along. I think that I will use it in some other spot in the quilt, so I don't want to use it yet. And of course there were some other yellows in here. I'm going to be going through fabrics that I have, like here's some yellow. That's the one with the text on it. And also on the floor, like I have fabric lines that have yellow with some aqua. So I have this bundle, all of these to pick from, which are really soft yellows. So I will be pulling out of those besides my bin that I have back here of all the yellow, which is why all these are down here on the floor so that I can get to them. Okay, I am going to I'm going to cut this, which is rectangles and sewing. Follow along in the book. You will have all the sizes in the book, and you want to check your sizes, be sure your seam allowance is good. So I will be right back, but I might go get a coffee first and then cut and sew, because I haven't done any of that yet. I'm filming this like as I'm thinking about it. Okay, I'll be back. So I'm making the block, and it's so important to keep track, because I've got the design board and I've cut the pieces, and I counted across on the white, and I counted across the bottom for the white background, and then I'm looking and I'm putting the charcoal squares, and I'm like, there's something wrong here. I actually am missing a yellow strip. 1, 2, 3, center, 1, 2, 3. So I have to cut another strip. I have some really cute bee fabric, and that's what I'm going to do. And the block is done. Here it is. I'm so excited. So I ended up with these fabrics in it. Let me show you up close. You can also go over to my website and see a photo of the block. So what would it look like up here if it were in the quilt? What do you think, like a whole quilt of these? Yeah, that has to be on my list. A whole quilt of yellow hearts with gray. Yes. Maybe I get through some of that pile there of yellow. So you see the cameras? Okay, I have to show you what I have here in my studio that I keep in here all the time, which is my pop-ups, my grandfather's Brownie camera. Isn't that great? My mom had it for years, and then eventually she was going through some things and she saw it again, and she's like, would you like that? And I'm like, yes. To a photo taking loving girl, this is just the best memories ever. So cool that my grandfather, and we took pictures with it. We've taken pictures. Greg has gotten the film and developed it himself, so it's been really fun to have. Okay, the other thing I discovered is I have not one but 2 rotary cutters with a nick in them. So I ended up with the third one that I've got over here. How does that happen? I think what happens is, right, you just keep putting them back in the container. It's like, I'll change the blades later. So they're going over the far side of the table where the blades are kept, and I will do that. And on the break, I took that break to sew the block. I did go and get a nice pumpkin spice latte with a little caramel sauce on it. It's the afternoon. You have to celebrate a little bit. Making our first block of Happy Everything. I'm so excited to be doing this. It's like a little gift to myself to be able to do a project that I've had on my list for such a long time. Oh, also, if you just want to do a pillow, if you're not doing the sew along, but you're just doing sort of smaller things as we go along, here are 2 of the pillows from the book. So they are horizontal stripes instead of vertical stripes. So they're kind of fun, great big pillows. All right, my friend, time to make your heart. I can't wait to see yours. Show it over on my community page, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, or down at my website today. All the links are below. Subscribe while you're there. Mwah. Okay, I love you. Mwah, mwah. See you online.